Hold up.
Every day I wake up, wake your ass up.
The Breakfast Club.
Y'all finished or y'all done?
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Loren LoRosa's here as well. We got a special guest in the building.
Yes, indeed.
You want to do the intro? You want to sing the intro?
This is how we do it.
Montell Jordan, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, brother.
What's
How
up,
you
y'all?
feeling, man?
I'm great this morning.
Man, you look good,
You
brother.
look amazing.
Thank you, man. I feel good.
That's
I feel good. It's good to be here.
How old are you? If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, I'm 56.
God damn.
Be
Give
50
us
Say it like
something to look forward to.
that.
Give us something to look forward to,
Oh, yeah,
man.
absolutely.
What the hell are you talking about?
Absolutely. How does it feel to have a record that will never go away? It plays in pop culture, in hip hop, in urban, in country, in all types of things. Your record always get played. Do you know when you did that record, it was gonna be that way?
I knew we had something special. Like, I go back to college days, and I knew that even long before I was in the music business, like, I would go to the fraternity parties or whatever, and any DJ that was really doing his thing, right around that, last call for alcohol, that last hour of the club, that's when they would drop Slick Rick's Children's Story. And that was just already like a timeless record. But I always said, even back then, I said, if I ever get the chance to get in the music business, I'm going to sing over that record. So I did know that it was already a hit, but the journey of taking that hit and then turning it into a classic, you know what I'm saying? I could not have known that, but that was what the goal was.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I was thinking about it when they told me you was coming in. You were Def Jam's first R&B star, right?
I think they had Allison. Well, when you say R&B star, so
Yeah.
they had Allison Williams was there. They had Orange Juice Jones there, so they had some R&B stuff
The
there.
OGs though, like, hey.
Yeah, I mean, we were the first. Well, not only were we the first, I think, successful R&B, like we were their first #1 record that Def Jam had.
Ever?
Yeah,
In all genres?
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
That's
the first #1.
amazing.
Because I think, you think of Def Jam, you think of it being a rap-heavy label.
Yep.
You know what
For
I mean?
sure.
Especially around that time. I mean, you were even sampling one of their classic rap records.
Absolutely. And the cool thing, though, even with that relationship of doing the Slick Rick, the Children's Story kind of pairing, on my second album, me and Slick Rick got together and we did a song called I Like that was on my second album. And we're friends to this day, him and his wife, and me and my wife, we all, do life together.
But tell us how you wrote that record in the process of getting into the music industry, because you said you were in college and you would go to parties. What made you say, you know what, I want to do music?
Well, the making of that record right there was literally like capturing atmosphere. So I would study guys like Marvin Gaye and a song like Got to Give It Up. If you listen to that song, Got to Give It Up, even before Marvin starts singing, you hear crowd, you hear atmosphere, you hear energy, and all that is transformative into music, especially when music was more analog than digital. And so when you hear This Is How We Do It before the song ever comes on, you hear a party, because that's what we did. I put people in the studio, put a microphone in there, gave them some drinks, and they were all standing around having a party. And then the engineers, we click play and we captured the energy of the room before the song ever kicked in.
The actual studio, live in the studio.
Like live in the studio, they were just we just captured everything, the flirtation, the conversation, everything that was happening is the undergirding of the track and the lyrics of This Is How We Do It. So people don't know, it's more than hearing the record. They actually feel that record, which is why, we're talking almost 30 years later.
A record like that is a gift and a curse, though, right? Because, a record it becomes so bigger than life, kind of overshines the rest of your catalog, right? In a way.
It was a gift because it's around 30 years later. It was a curse because it was the first record, and because it was the first record, everybody always wants to put everything up against that record,
Right.
and that was a phenomenal record. And so even I've had records that have probably sold more or that have done extremely well, everybody always goes back to that as the first. And
Yeah, was that sold more?
What's that?
You got records that sold more than that?
Well, Get It On Tonight did good.
Yeah.
I had some records that did really, probably not sold more, but I mean as far as just
hell no, nothing
that has some legs. I got records that have some legs to them or whatever, but that record was, so when Something for the Honeys came out, that was a song that had some legs to it, but it could never reach #1 because it was like 10 months later, we're like, hey, this is the next single. They're like, no, we're still playing This Is How We Do It. And so stations, but this is a pretty cool thing that a lot of people don't know. The reason why This Is How We Do It got to be so big was because, in the song I say South Central does it like nobody does. I remember coming to New York City getting with all the Angie Martinez, Wendy Williams, all that. I got to Hot 97 and those stations or whatever. They're like, we love you, we love Def Jam, but we're not really kind of playing that record because, you know, the whole South Central thing. So I was like, okay, well, let's try and fix that. So we went into the editing booth and I re-sang This Is How We Do It. But I said, oh, New York does it like nobody does. And what I normally do, you know, because I was a rapper before I was singing, you know, I would do like, this is how we do it. It's Friday night. I feel all right. The party's with Angie Martinez. So I reach for the old school and I turn it up. Funk Master Flash. And so I started throwing names into the songs and changed it to New York. And so when I did that, now New York, they're playing that song every hour on the hour. And then DC hears, and DC is like, yo, we heard you did that in New York. We want a DC version. We want a Philly version. And so I ended up singing the song probably 1,000 times just so that every station had their own customized version of it. So
that is weird.
Artists don't put that kind of work in no more.
Hell no.
I was gonna say, you talked about you being a rapper a little bit to get into that part of it. Even in that song, you kind of have verses where it's like you're singing it, but it's like a lyric, like you're rapping it. Like I reached for my like. Now I understand kind of where that comes from.
Yeah, I was Russell Simmons' rap singer when I got signed to Def Jam. That was one of the reasons why I was documenting street life in Los Angeles, and I was finding ways to you know, the R. Kellys were out there. There were other artists out there. The Guy was out there, and you know, I wanted to do the New Jack thing. I was a fan of Aaron Hall. I was a fan of a lot of different things, but the only way I was able to carve my own space into who I would be musically was I had to take rap lyrics and then I would sing them. So if you were to look at This Is How We Do It and you say, I reach for my 40 and I turn it up, designated driver, take the keys to my truck. Like lyrically, that's like rap prose, but that I would take designated driver, take the keys to my truck and say, designated driver, take the keys to my truck. And so I literally would write rap lyrics. My entire first album, I wrote rap lyrics and then I figured out how to sing them.
I just love the fact that you were promoting, you know, having a designated driver.
Yeah.
Back then, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You know, I was very conscious.
Yeah.
Very responsible early on.
And you went from R&B, you know, superstar to pastor. Like, what was the breaking point that made you step away from the industry?
I was brought up in church. I was a church kid growing up. And so from that standpoint, it wasn't like, you know, I had this great big epiphany and then, you know, flew to the gospel. It was like literally I was brought up a church kid. And a lot of musicians and a lot of artists have that training ground. It's like a farm league almost for the music business where people are growing up, they're listening. It's the difference between, you know, between rhythm and blues and soul music. Soul is a little more attached to feeling as opposed to just sonic hearing. And so me going back into ministry wasn't like I'm ready to do this. It was more of a God move of saying, hey, man, you've done it this way for so long. You know, why don't you try and do it my way and give me the opportunity to show you that what accolades and what verification and validation I'm looking for in man and in people, that God's like, I've already verified you. I've already validated you. And so, you know, so I don't have to work for God's grace. I'm working from his grace. And by me stepping away to do ministry, I found out who I was because, you know, in the music business, I didn't know who I was outside of music. If I don't have an album, if I'm not on the charts, if people aren't playing on the radio, then who am I? And so God was like, you know, well, I'm gracious enough to show you who you are if you never pick up a mic again. So it was during that time I found out, man, I'm a son and I'm a father, I'm a friend, I'm a giver, I'm generous, I'm all these different things. I'm a teacher, I'm a communicator, I'm a bunch of different things. If I never pick up a microphone again, I found out who I was, and I learned that, you know, music doesn't define me. I define music, and that was like a pivotal part for me to understand that music doesn't define who I am. I define who music is, and then that's when God says, okay, now I can trust you with music again, because now you know who you are.
I was going to ask you, what did you find in ministry that music couldn't give you? And I guess it was just a sense of self.
What did I find in ministry that music couldn't give me? I think that with music, I was in an abusive relationship. I loved something that couldn't love me back. And so literally, you know, I would say, man, I love music so much. I love music so much. I do it for free. I love music. And music never loved me back. Even when I was leaving music to go into ministry, music wasn't like, no, Montell, don't leave. We want you. It was nothing. It was just like, bye. You know, so I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And so I learned that God did love me and he did care about me and he was there, you know, in those spaces. And so I think what I got from God is I got someone and something that could love me back. And then now I understand that Music is something that I can enjoy, I can appreciate, and I can create, but it doesn't create me.
Wow.
When you got into being a pastor, when you went back to performing, did you feel like I had to take some lyrics out or had to change things up or anything at all, or no?
100%. I literally, the story goes of, when I left the music business, I burnt the plow, meaning I'm not coming back. I got all my instrumental tracks. I got rid of everything. I was full ministry for like 4 or 5 years. And during that time period, there was a promoter who kept calling my wife like every single year, several times a year. He would call her, "Hey, I need Montell. I need Montell. I need Montell." And we didn't even take dudes' calls. Like, we are done with the music business. And then about 4 years in, she finally, takes my man's call. She's like, "Hey, kind of frustrated. What do you want?" He's like, "Yeah, I need Montell for this concert. I got Keith Sweat, Silk. I got this whole big thing, and we need Montell." And she's like, "Montell is retired." He was like, "Yeah, I know. I'm following his career." She was like, "He's a minister. He's a pastor now." He's like, Yeah. I'm a Christian too. I know that. And so she's like, "Well, why do you keep calling in?" He's like, "Because my shows are really dark and I need some light." So when he drops that, now we have to circle back and we're like, okay, is there a way that, well, first it was like, okay, well, God, you told me not to sing that song no more. And God said, "No, you told you not to sing that song no more. I never told you that."
Jam too.
And I was like, oh my goodness, maybe it was me. I had to get rid of my own idol. I had to sacrifice my own idol that I made it. But God never told me not to sing that song anymore. So I did have to say, okay, what can I sing and what can't I sing anymore? Can I give people nostalgia without giving them something that compromises who I am? And that was the journey of going back and finding the songs that I could sing, changing some words, changing some lyrics, because I'm a changed man. And then that became something that was acceptable, and it's very welcomed actually out, not only for the audiences, but even like the artists that I'm out on the road with. I'm like a pastor to the unpastored in a lot of spaces because I'm speaking truth and I'm loving them and I'm out on the road with them. I understand what they've been through. I've been doing this for 30 years, you know what I'm saying? And so I think that was part of the journey of, I'm able to change lyrics. I'm able to customize something. Quick story, like when it comes to Let's Ride, that was, pretty nasty song, masterpiece, Silk the Shocker, strip club anthem, big #1 record, and I'll do that song, but I don't really sing that song. I'll sing the first verse of that song. I literally do about 45 seconds to a minute of the song to instill nostalgia in people. And then with Master P used to go, I get to that part in the song, like, right in the verse, and I go, I don't do that song no more because it's nasty. And the crowd laughs or whatever. And I'll tell them, "Yo, I told you I'm a pastor no more, but I can do this song." And then I just kind of shift. So I'm giving them the song, and just that much makes them feel like they've heard the entire song. And then, I keep it moving.
I love that. So did you feel guilty? You felt guilty before, performing those songs after you had stepped away and did ministry, and they wanted you back when that promoter called your wife. It was the fact that you would feel guilty when you did the songs before, since you got closer to God?
I never felt guilty, which is wild. I maybe felt conflicted, but guilt is I think a strong word. Gotcha. I felt like, I know I love the Lord. I know I'm in, this is before ministry. I know I love the Lord. I know God's got me. I know he's given me a lot of ideas, and I took a lot of those ideas and I made them more customizable for different audiences and stuff like that. And from that standpoint, I had to be 2 Montells, if you will, and it probably was 3 or 4. I call it spiritual schizophrenia. It was like literally, and I'm not making fun of any diagnosis. I'm saying that I had to be different Montell for different audiences. When I'm home with my wife, that's one Montell. When I'm at my church, that's a different Montell. When I'm with my moms, that's a different Montell. And so because of that, I was trying to keep up with a bunch of different personalities. And so, I think I could feel guilty from the standpoint of not being authentically who I am. And ministry allowed me to step into a space that is like, it doesn't matter if I am on the Breakfast Club. It don't matter if I'm in church. It don't matter if I'm with, in any setting, I'm going to be the same Montell, authentically me all the time. And that's liberating.
So how do you reconcile the Montell Jordan who's saying about the freaky stuff on the weekends with the Montell Jordan who preaches on Sunday mornings?
Yeah, that dude had to die. That guy had to die. And I'm okay with that, because now who I am, it doesn't mean I can't look back and show the world who I was. Even in my shows, I do a ministry I do ministry during my shows. Anybody that goes to a Montell show, I don't care, people drinking, getting high, doing whatever they do at a show, whatever. I'm literally almost like comedically weaving a story into, I'm just going out and sing songs. I'm communicating with the audience. We laugh and telling jokes, and I'm talking to them. And I get to a point in the show where I actually tell them, hey, y'all know I'm a pastor. Some of you don't know. And I let them know. I said, hey, music is part of the soundtrack to our lives. If you got a good memory in your life, there's probably a song attached to it. If you got a tragic moment in your life, there's probably some music attached to it. And I said, what I'm doing is I'm giving you nostalgia, but I'm also here to show you what it looks like when God gets a hold of a man's heart and then changes him and puts him back in front of people with great influence and people that know that there's something different about him, but they don't quite know what it is. And I say, it's Jesus that changed my life and transformed me and made me a different person. And so in that audience, I'll tell them, so I know some of y'all don't do the God thing. I know some of y'all don't do the church thing, but I'm here to tell you that God loves you. And God misses you, and God is not angry at you. And even if you wouldn't come to a church, He sent a 90s R&B artist to you wherever you are to let you know that your life is that valuable to Him. And so I literally get to minister in every space that I go to, and people get an encounter with God, not even expecting. I just came to hear, Color Me Bad sing I Want to Sex You Up, and Montell's in there talking about Jesus. Wow, how did that happen? It's
and
unassuming.
And you never know how many people will actually go to him.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
Will follow that word, because that's what he wants, acknowledgement.
Every now and then, just I get a God kiss where somebody will pop in the DM and they'll be like, yo, you were talking to me last night, and man, God, pray for me and for my daughter, or this or that or the other. So, I'm pastoring, but I'm just outside the four walls of the church. I'm on the expansion program.
As an artist, did being tall hinder you? Because I remember Teddy Riley, I promise you, Teddy Riley told me this a long time ago. Teddy Riley said, there's no such thing as a tall superstar in the industry. So think about it.
Yeah. Nah, I think it's, the 6'8" he stood has allowed me to stand out, head and shoulders above. I think in Guinness, I was like in the Guinness Book of World Records at one time for the tallest R&B singer, or tallest with a number one record.
I can't see nobody taller. You probably still in there.
Teddy Riley told me that years ago. He was like, yo, you got it. He was like, no such thing as a tall superstar. And I'm like, Snoop?
Yeah.
Jay-Z? And he's like, those are the exceptions to the rules. A long time ago.
Damn.
Yeah. Tall, other than shopping off the rack, height has been an advantage for me.
And you've been married for how long?
32 years.
32
Congratulations.
years.
Congratulations.
Y'all
To the same
both
woman.
look so good.
Yeah, I'm 24. What you?
Well, I've been with my wife for 27. We've been married for 11.
I'm 24.
Okay.
I've been married 31.
What took so long with that?
We were young. We were kids.
He's like, man.
You was kids for like 10 or 15 of those years.
I see what you thinking. Go ahead, Montell. Ask the question.
And kids.
Now you know God wants it to happen. But what was the secret sauce to keeping that bond alive, especially in an industry that eats relationships dinner?
Yeah. I think recognizing that marriage wasn't something that humans created. I think marriage is something that God created. It's meant to be a covenant, and a lot of people go into marriage with an exit strategy as opposed to having an eternal strategy. They go in thinking, well, if this doesn't work, then and that automatically is the setup for the enemy to be able to know what your then I'll do this or I'll do that. That's the strategy that the enemy will use to take out your marriage. And so we know that we are going to be married to each other forever. We're going to make it the best forever possible. We're going to be happy. We got family legacy on the line here. And by doing that, I recognize that our marriage ain't just for us. Our marriage is for other people to be able to see and be like, man, if they can do it, they can do 30-something years and still be grabbing each other's butts in the elevator and still, excited about each other, whatever. It can be done. And a lot of people don't want to get married or they're kind of shy away from it simply because they don't recognize or see enough that it can be done. Yeah. And so that's what we're doing. We want to be an example we help public marriages heal in private. So a lot of couples, when they go into, some challenges or this or that, we have a spot called the Jordan River down in Atlanta. And we provide marriage and family therapy with licensed marriage and family therapists, private chefs, all of that. They get a chance to come in and, they can go to montellandkristen.com or go to marriagemasterpiece.com, PEACE, if people need help with their marriages. But,
I love that.
That's something that we do to keep us, it keeps us tight together because we recognize other couples need it.
God bless you.
Was your manager at one point?
Yeah. Yeah.
How was that mixing? Like, what's the pros and cons of mixing the marriage with the business?
That was hell. That was hell.
That's why I became a pastor.
Well, no, you know, it was
the front end and the back end.
you know, it was one of those things where, you know, the label had come in and in order to help be successful, they were like, well, Montell, if nobody's going to want an unavailable married R&B artist, you know, you got to understand, we're talking 95, 94, 95, you know, if you're not available, they're not going to want you. And I would always heard that if you want to be successful in the music business, guys have to want to be you and women have to want to be with you. Mm-hmm. If you can do those things, you could be successful. And so I had to keep the persona that I was this single available R&B artist. And for her being in Def Jam and then them, you know, 160 Varick, those days being in that building was a tough building to be in. And she's a woman manager or whatever. And it was like, well, if you are the wife, then people are not going to respect you. So as opposed to being Kristen Jordan, she was Kristen Hudson, and she was the manager. And being the manager is tough because it's kind of like, is the manager telling the artist what to do, or is the artist telling the manager what do we do? And then when we're not artist and manager, and then we go home, because remember, there's different Montells at that time. There's Montell the artist, and then there's Montell the husband, and Montell the artist takes precedence over Montell the husband. When we get home, like, then what does that look like? How do we submit to each other? How do we, you know? And so it was very, very tough. And so at some point, something else had to die. And in that, my artistry and her managerial capacity, all those things had to die in order for our marriage to live, because whatever you feed grows, right? And so if we're feeding the industry side of us, that thing was crazy. She was managing, doing fantastic. I'm doing my artist thing, and we're hemorrhaging at home. We bleeding out, you know? And so we had to figure out what we wanted to live and what we wanted to, you know, to sacrifice.
Now, one thing that I think makes me nervous, I know makes Charlamagne nervous, you were diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Yeah.
That's something that I think we started, and this was a great thing. We started early checking everything. I mean, we didn't went to damn near every scan you could possibly imagine, because I have 6, he has 4. We want to make sure we there as long as possible.
He was getting his prostate checked like every week.
Just for fun.
With the same doctor?
You know,
She said just for fun.
See where I work at.
See where I
But were you sick? Was it just a test, or how did you find out?
Yeah, never sick. Never sick. Never felt sick. Literally, about when I was in my early 40s is when I started going to get checked. And you know, the whole taboo thing about the rectal check, you know, the finger check, and then the blood check. Even when I was diagnosed, it wasn't rectal check that found anything. It was literally in my blood from 10 years of getting blood checks. You know, I could see 10 years ago, it was like my PSA was like 3.1, it was 3.3, and it was 3.9, 4.2, 4.5, 4.6. 5.1, and then it was kind of like, oh, okay, and then we go from 5.1 to 6.1, like, oh, and then so it was the journey of looking at my blood at that PSA levels, because I had a history, because of early detection, because of that, it allowed me to, when I did get diagnosed, it allowed me to have options, because they caught it early. And prostate cancer is 99% treatable when caught early. They have almost 100% success rate of treating it if it's caught early enough. But a lot of men, and particularly disproportionately black men, do not go and they do not get checked. And because of that, they normally are finding out too late in the process.
What made you decide to share it publicly instead of keeping it private?
That was a God thing. That's 100% a God thing, because it is very private, very personal. And I think part of it was what they call a holy discontent, that thing that just makes it something difficult. You can't sleep at night. It was like I watched when Chadwick Boseman, it wasn't, I don't think prostate cancer, but when Chadwick Boseman passed away, I was like, what is that? Like, how do you do all the movies? How do you do all those things? And nobody know, like nobody can tell me nothing, you know, about that. And then when I got diagnosed, I didn't have a template. I didn't have anybody that I could look at that was telling, you know, that was telling the story to be able to say, okay, when you get diagnosed, do this. Or even though it's not, cancer, not the same for everybody, but when this happens, here are the steps, you know, that you can take. I couldn't find nobody. And so even right after we got diagnosed, my wife and I felt like the Lord said to us, film it, tell everything, film it. And so we started filming this documentary that eventually will be called Sustain. I'll tell you more about that in a moment. But this film and this documentary is literally us telling this entire story from diagnosis all the way up through how we vetted doctors, how we vetted treatments, what we chose to do, how I chose to have a radical prostatectomy surgery and have my prostate removed November 5th of 2024, election day. And from that process, the journey afterwards, how I got clear margins, and how that journey is and what it is today.
Wow.
With a recurrence or reemergence of cancer, which is, I would love to be here telling a story about, yeah, I got prostate cancer, I beat it, I'm on the other side of it. I'm actually right now in the mud, you know what I'm saying, of this thing right now. And I know I'm good. I know God's got me. I know my wife's got me, my family, my children, my grandchildren. Like, I know that I am good. I got great organizations like Zero Prostate Cancer, who I've come along with. They're trying to help 100,000 men be saved from this prostate cancer. And in that journey, and I do want to say this because they're part of the reason why I'm here to talk about all this. But people that need to get screened, I want to encourage the wives, the mothers, the sisters, the aunts, the daughters out there. The men in your life need to be checked. They need to be screened. It's not a game. It's not something you want to play around with. And I know they can go to zerocancer.org/September, because this is officially Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. I hope I got that information right. But in my diagnosis and in the journey that I'm in right now, in the thick of it, I don't want to tell. But if I don't tell, I don't know who else is going to say it. Yeah. I watched Dwayne Wiggins from Tony Tone had bladder cancer and he died. I don't know what his story is. I don't know if he got diagnosed. I don't know if he got treated. I don't know anything about that. The world heard, oh, Randy Moss has liver cancer. And it was like somebody leaked it and then he had it, or he's fine from it now. And then they had a week in the NFL where they wore Moss cancer jerseys. But I don't know how he told his wife. I don't know what his kids navigated through. I don't know anything when it comes to D Wade, with kidney cancer. I think he's got 60% of his kidney. I don't know what him and Gabrielle went through. I don't know how he told his kids or his family. Like there's not enough data for me to make the right type of decisions and the thought processes that go behind any cancer, and in particular prostate cancer, which is treatable. There's not a template there. So I'm the template now. I'm the template. I'm partnering with Zero, and I'm telling I'm snitching. I'm telling everything that I can, about this process, from diagnosis to when I'm crying and snotting, and when I'm shaking my fist at God, and when I'm thanking God for life. All of these bits and pieces, man, I'm capturing it all. And this is the crazy thing, though. Last year, from diagnosis up to surgery, I'm out on the road, I'm singing, I'm performing, I'm doing all these shows, all these concerts, and all the money that I'm earning to do this, I'm gathering it so I can tell a story about cancer. I got cancer, and I'm working to tell a story about how I'm going to defeat cancer. And so now, even on the other side, thinking, now I'm about to do this documentary, Sustain. You go to sustainthemovie.com and help partner with us to help take some of this load off of me, because me and my wife, we've been carrying this thing for a year and a half now. It's been completely, on us. And now I'm still, I got film crew, I got people with me, because now is that this reemergence or whatever is back. I got to continue this story.
Thank you for sharing your story first. Thank you so much, because there's so many brothers. I'm sorry, I cut you off, Charlotte. There's so many brothers that have so many questions, and a lot of times we don't have anybody to talk to. Right? There is nobody. Yeah. We say this all the time. You never go to the barbershop and you be like, "Hey, what's your prostate like?" You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't talk about things like that.
I'm just saying.
But you know what I mean. But we don't have those conversations about men's health. Yeah. So the fact that
do though.
No,
we don't say, well, what's your prostate like?
No, we don't. We don't do that in the barbershop.
We encourage each other to get our prostate.
No, we do on the radio, but in the barbershop, that wasn't a common conversation. We'd have conversation about sports. We have conversations.
I've done more funerals the past years than weddings.
God damn.
And not just funerals of people that people don't know, like known people. Like I was there for Biz Markie. I was at Biz Marquis's funeral. I was there for DJ Mr. C. I eulogized DJ Mr. C over in Harlem. Like I was there the night that Fat Man Scoop, you know what I'm saying, was in the hospital up in Connecticut. Like I'm around this, and these ain't like 70, 80, 90-year-old men. These is dudes in their 50s, early 60s. And so there's a problem with that, not just in the hip hop and the urban. There's a problem in the community, especially in the African American community, Black community, which is twice likely, you know what I'm saying, for people to not survive from this because of the not getting checked and because not having conversations about it.
How did it come back if you got your prostate removed, though?
Had it removed, and normally when you have your prostate removed, your PSA levels are supposed to go to 0. My PSA level did not go to 0. It went to like 1 point something. And it was kind of like, well, sometimes it takes a couple of weeks for it to go down. And so it did go down after a couple of weeks, 1.9, 1.7, couple months, 1.5. I'm thinking that's cool or whatever, but actually that's not what the case is. It just is a situation where even though the prostate was removed and everything seemed like it was isolated and confined in the prostate, there was some bad actors that had probably, you know, like I said, when I got diagnosed, it was early first stage Gleason 6 prostate cancer. When they pulled it out and they biopsied it, it was like, oh, it's like stage 2 aggressive prostate cancer. And so, you know what I'm saying, them little dudes, I got they fighters. And so they apparently, you know what I'm saying, wanted to try and hide out or whatever. But because I still get screenings and I still go through my regular checkups or whatever, I was able to detect, hey, there's something in your lymph nodes and something kind of in the prostate bed. Those things don't need to be there. You need to go for some more treatment.
Montell has to go, guys. So if you got a last question, we have to.
I saw that you are going to begin radiation.
Yeah.
Or will you be documenting that process too and talking people through that? Because that's also a fear too. Once people are diagnosed, they're scared of the treatment.
Yeah, I don't want to, but I feel like I have to. So I'll be going through proton therapy in Atlanta. It's 7.5 weeks, 37 treatments, which is like 5 days a week, an hour a day, going in and getting a very targeted form of radiation on my lymph nodes and in my prostate bed. And I'm not radioactive or nothing afterwards. It's all that radiation is taking place when the machine is on, and don't want to do it, but that's how I get cancer. I am a cancer survivor, but I didn't know there was a such thing as a 2-time cancer survivor. So now it's like, you know what I'm saying, this is the second bout, and I want it to be the last one.
I just got 2 quick questions.
All right, real quick, because I haven't asked anything about this yet. Okay, so to Envy's point, no, guys don't usually talk about it, right? Like my dad, he is like, he knows something is wrong, but he don't know how to relay it to his kids.
Okay.
Right? So like, how did you tell your wife? How do you tell your other family members?
Thank you for asking that question. Hearing it for the first time for myself, you know, with just me and the doctor, that was hard enough because I'm trying to figure out how do I tell myself, first of all. Then from there, there's also this thing that you realize, okay, I've got this. You know, cancer doesn't have me, but I've got cancer. Now in this process, when I start to share it, do I give cancer to other people? Meaning, do they now carry the weight of what I'm carrying? So in telling my wife, I became freer because I now got somebody to take this journey with me. And a lot of people don't have that, but I got I got a G riding beside me to help me do that. But then even after I told her, it took us about 5 months that it was just us not knowing who to tell, who to share it with, because we didn't want them to have to carry the weight of that as well. And so eventually we told my oldest son, and then my oldest son was like, yo, you got to tell my brothers and sisters, you got to tell everybody. I told everybody. I had a 12-year-old daughter at the time. She's the last one. You know what I'm saying? How do I tell her? Which is
put that weight on her. She has school. She has her other stresses already.
You know, how do you tell her who also lost her grandfather to cancer the year before, a different form of cancer. And so now, how do I make cancer palatable for a 12-year-old? I don't got a rule book for that. There's no template. So I become the template, and it's another story for another day. I hope y'all have me come back so I can tell you how I told my 12-year-old, because it's hilarious. But in that process of telling them and then letting more people know and more people know that we're just in our insulated circle of influence. Those are the people that were going to be our tribe to help us, because everybody don't need to know, because everybody ain't praying for your health, and everybody don't want to see you win. Everybody don't want to see you healthy. I know it's going to be tons of people that are this or that, and but I can silence all that noise because I knew who I am. And in this process, I'm telling my story because it's important for you and for your dad.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm telling and I don't even know what your dad is going through,
Right.
but it's important that your dad knows that Montell, the artist, the million selling this or that or the other, is saying, please go and get yourself checked or share.
Or just tell your kids.
Or tell them. Tell them
yeah.
because they're stronger than you think.
Right.
And it would be worse for you not to know.
Mm-hmm.
And then be wondering, oh, what happened? Oh, they kept this all to themselves. It would be selfish, and I understand the reason why. But like I said, this is kind of where I am now, and I had to ask permission for my kids to be able to go and publicly start sharing this story in the mud in the middle of the story, simply because it's personal to them. Like, yo, Dad, we appreciate that you sharing this with the whole world. You could save other people's lives and get men checked.
Absolutely.
And this or that or the other. But you're our dad. You're our dad, and we want to keep this, personal. But they understand. They've allowed me to share my music. They've allowed me to share ministry, and now they're allowing me to share my medical journey with the world. And I probably wouldn't have done it without their cosign to be able to say, yeah, Dad, You've saved people's lives through music. You've saved people's souls through ministry,
Right.
and now you can do this too.
This
really
is my
have to
last
leave.
question. I know you got to go. You talk about God's plan in your life. How is your faith specifically guiding you during this, stage of your life? The treatment, the recovery, the re-diagnosis, everything.
I'm unshakable. I'm unshakable. I recognize that I know where my soul rests in this. I know that this earthly journey is one that my story is not done being told. So from that standpoint, all I can do is look and be grateful of how good God has been to my life. And listen, it ain't just words. Like, you should be able to feel being in my presence the same way I'm with y'all. You can feel that I know without a shadow of a doubt how good God is to me and to some of y'all in the journeys that you've been through, that he's kept you. And so that's the foundational piece that has me rooted and grounded, that I already know. I know God's going to heal me, and I know he can do it supernaturally. I know he can do it through doctors, through medicines. He can do it through treatments. He can do it however he want to do it. If it was up to me, I'd be like, God, I'm one of your favorites. Just get it over with, so I can just be able to tell the whole world, yo, Jesus healed me supernaturally. And that's not the story that he gave me. He said, no, I'm not gonna do it that way. I was like, well, Lord, let me just get through it and come on the other side, so I could be able to say, hey, I had it, I did this, and God brought me through doctors and technology, and now I'm on the other side of it. And I would have loved that testimony. And God said, no, you're not gonna get it that way either. And so in this journey that I'm on right now, I'm really, really grateful to be with y'all today. It's like, because I'm not on the other side of it, I'm right in the mix of it, and I want people to see that God ain't just on the other side of it, he's right with me in the mix of it. So while I'm in the midst of it, God is with me. He's not waiting for me on the other side to come through. Like, he's with me in the midst of it. And so from that standpoint, that's where I can walk with authority, I can walk with boldness, I can walk in a place with my family, I can walk with zero prostate cancer, and I can tell the story because they're giving me a platform, to be able to share in these spaces where my R&B or pastoral voice may not have the reach that it could have. Partnerships and things like that allow us to be able to save some lives. This ain't there's no money grab here. This is literally, I'm trying to grab your pops. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get your dad. I'm trying to get your uncles. I'm trying to get your brothers. I'm trying to get your husbands. I'm trying to tell them, if you thought Montell Jordan was cool, or you liked his music, or you thought he might have had, brought something to the game, now I'm bringing this to the game, and I'm saying it's important for you to not leave a legacy of your family of secrets and of death and of misinformation and of neglect. Don't neglect your family. Don't neglect your body. Find out what's going on. And, because I've had people say, I'd just rather not know. No, that's incredibly ignorant to not want to know what's going on in your body, especially when it comes to prostate cancer, because, and I keep saying this, man, it's treatable when caught early. So why not catch it early before it catches you?
Well, Montell,
you just got another ministry, brother.
Yes.
That's right. It was music, it was preaching. Now you're going through all of this just to have another ministry.
Yeah, I didn't want this one, but that's why God could trust me with it, though. He can trust me with this. I don't want this. I don't want to tell this story. I do not want to be the one to tell this story. And that's why God says, great. So I know that you'll do whatever you have to say and you'll do what you have to do. You'll say what you have to say, because I know it's not something that I want the accolades for. There's a lot that come along with prostate cancer. You know what I'm saying? That journey or whatever, and the stigmas and the stuff that comes along with that. It's very personal. But from that standpoint, I got a lot to share, a lot to talk about. A lot of it will be in that documentary. Like I said, I can't, I'm the shameless plug. I need help. SustainTheMovie.com. That's a space where people can partner and be a part of coming to help us get this documentary told and get your names on the credits on the screen and all that type of stuff. I got to get the story told, and I'm either going to tell it because again, people are helping. SustainTheMovie.com.
SustainTheMovie.com.
Yeah.
Make sure you log on and donate. But we need to close out with a prayer, brother.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. God, thank you. Thank you for your sons and your daughters. I thank you that you have given them this space and this voice to be able to speak to this generation. God, I pray over their lives. I pray over their health. I pray over their strength. I pray over their families. I pray over their marriages. I pray over their future marriages. I pray over their children and their grandchildren. God, I pray that what they speak, even as they entertain, Father, that at the heart of what they do, that somehow somebody would hear what they say and it always points back to you. Father, no matter what they are navigating through personally, I pray that you would be there with them. Let them know you're not on the other side waiting for them, that if they've received you as Lord and Savior, that you are there with them in the trenches. In the good days, you're with them. In the bad days, you are with them. And I thank you for the Breakfast Club. I thank you for this space, and I thank you for this platform. I thank you for my life and for my wife and for my children and my grandchildren. I thank you for everybody under the sound of my voice, that you've heard Montell, but you weren't hearing Montell. You were hearing the Lord speak to you today to be able to say your life matters, your soul matters, and more than your soul mattering in heaven, which is extremely important, your life here on earth matters. And so do something to make sure you're preserving your life here in this earth so that the beautiful things that we get to listen to and experience, God, you are the one that allow that to happen. And we just thank you for this opportunity. We praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Montell Jordan, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Thank you so much.
Hold up. Every day I wake up, wake your ass up. The Breakfast Club.
Y'all finished or y'all done?